Hi, this is Rich Harrington, author of Photoshop for Video and Understanding Adobe Photoshop CS4. Today, I want to take a look at some of the new features inside of After Effects CS4 when it comes to working with 3D cameras and lights. Now, I have a basic scene here with just a solid and a shape layer, and what I want to do is start to add cameras and lights. And let's choose Layer, New, Camera to place it into the scene. Now you have several presets that you can work with. For now, we're just going to stick with the default and add it. It warns you that you need to have some 3D layers. So to make a layer 3D, we click the little icon here beneath the cube and it moves it into 3D space. Now with that set, what I want to do is actually make it easier to see what's happening here. Let's switch to the normal selection tool and we're going to choose two views horizontal. And this gives us two camera angles that we can work with. What I currently have is the active camera on the right, which is what the camera is seeing, and on the left, we're looking at it from the top. I often find that Custom View 1 is more useful because it makes it a little bit easier to see what's happening. If you need to move around, hold down the space bar and you get the hand tool and you can actually pull things. Notice we have a camera icon and that's great, and here's our star. And what I want to do is add some lights to this scene because that's what I want to focus on right now. We're going to choose Layer, New, Light. Now, there are four lights to choose from. Now, an ambient light is the overall lighting level within the scene. And let's add this, but lower it so the room's a little darker, just like you would often darken down a studio when shooting. Notice it gets darker, and we'll actually do the same to the background layer here. We're going to make that a 3D layer so it's affected by the lights. And we'll push that away. So we're going to push it along the axis there so it's farther away. S for scale. And we're going to make that quite a bit bigger. If we look over here, you see that it's now behind the light. And it's pretty flexible. There's our background, and that's going to do what we need it to do. Here's our light. We've added an ambient light, and it's going ahead and lowering the overall lighting in the scene. Let's choose to add another new light. In this case, we're going to add a point light. And we'll click OK. And you see that the point light now has an icon that's very representative of what it actually behaves as. Point light is sort of like a sun, and it's just casting light in the directions from it like a bulb. So we'll go ahead and move it here, and let's grab that light. I'm going to press return to rename it. We'll call it point. And notice we have controls here, so we could just move it along the axis as we see fit. And this is adding light from a source, and the farther an object gets from the source, the more it's affected. We can go ahead and play with the light controls here. I'm going to lower the intensity of that point light down just a bit so it's not as dramatic. There we go. Let's add another new light called a spotlight here, and I'm going to click OK. You'll see we get a great icon for this light. Let's adjust it, and we'll go ahead and point this light here. And what I like here is as we play with the spotlight controls, the icon adjusts very, very easily to see. So as we do things like open up the angle, you'll see that the angle actually spots up and down, which is great. That works really well. Let's go ahead and tell this to cast shadows. So it's going to hit the star and tell the star to cast a shadow. We then have to select the star layer itself, and under Material Options, tell it that we want to cast shadows. So now the star is allowed to cast shadows, and it will put a shadow onto the wall behind it if we position the wall close enough. Let's go ahead and grab that there. We'll nudge that forward a bit, and you see that the star is indeed casting a shadow onto the wall. We can nudge that around as we need to there, and you see there that the star is throwing its shadow to the back wall itself. Let's just scale that wall up so it's bigger. There we go. So, pretty flexible. We'll grab that spotlight really quick, and I'm going to nudge this around. Let's pull it back and over, and you see it casting the shadow there. You can also grab the point of interest to tweak where the light is pointing, and it does a great job. Now, if you need to, you can actually play with those shadows. You would go down to the shape layer here, and you would tell it how to handle the shadows. So you can actually diffuse a little bit and play with those settings, as well as the material options. Let's add our last light type, Layer, New, Light, and we're going to add that parallel light. And you see that that gives us this bank type of lighting here that's more of a straight sort of lighting source, and that's casting several shadows here, but more of a directional, straightforward beam. There we go. And we'll adjust where that points. And there you have it. Let's just turn that down a bit. Under Light Options, I'm going to change the color to a little redder and lower its intensity. So, there you have it. Several light option types. You can access all four. What's great now is you see they have unique icons, making them easier to spot as you design the lighting in your scene. The light themselves haven't changed that much, it's just they're easier to track now as each has a unique icon that behaves a lot more interactively as you adjust the light properties. And remember, once you start to work with these, it really becomes very flexible with your design. We've added all four light types to our scene. We have a parallel light, we have an ambient light, we have a spotlight, and a point light. The ambient light is how you set the overall lighting level for the scene, generally darkening the scene down. You could then add parallel light if you'd like to put a larger amount of light pointed in one direction. Spotlight allows you to focus the light and is particularly useful for casting shadows and adding perspective. And point light is used to raise the overall intensity to objects near the light, much like a light bulb hanging from a ceiling. So, some great flexibility there, and of course, your cameras are always infinitely flexible. You have great controls like zoom, as well as controls over point of interest and position, and this allows us to go ahead and move the camera around immensely. I'm going to go ahead and pull the camera in here a little bit tighter towards the scene and have it pull in, getting closer to the object. We're going to have it swing a little bit to the right. There we go. As well as tweak its point of interest here so it pans off a bit into the shadow of that star. There we go. Let's go ahead and do a quick RAM preview. And you'll see exactly the animation that we told it to create. And the lights really make quite a bit of interesting things there, creating this very attractive background with great shadows being cast. And this is really the true strength in the After Effects camera and light system, is the realistic behavior that it exhibits, especially in the areas of shadow and camera movement. As soon as that finishes caching, we could take a quick look. There you go. My name's Rich Harrington. You're welcome to check out more here on the Layers website with great tutorials on getting more from Creative Suite 4.